The sound experience, which I prefer to all others, is the experience of silence. And the silence almost everywhere in the world now is traffic. When I hear what we call music, it seems to me that someone is talking, and talking about his feelings or about his ideas of relationships. But when I hear traffic, the sound of traffic here on 6th Avenue, for instance, I don't have the feeling that anyone is talking. I have the feeling that sound is acting. And I love the activity of sound. What it does is it gets louder and quieter, and it gets higher and lower, and it gets longer and shorter. It does all those things which I'm completely satisfied with that. I don't need sound to talk to me. We don't see much difference between time and space. We don't know where one begins and the other stops. So that most of the arts we think of as being in time, and most of the arts we think of as being in space. Marcel Duchamp, for instance, began thinking thinking of music as being not a time art but a space art. And he made a piece called Sculpture Musicale, which means different sounds coming from different places and lasting, producing a sculpture which is sonorous.
I think that
and
jazz
which
very
remains.
seldom in its true state or presented to the average public. They just have an idea of jazz which is not quite true. But the way I feel about it is that it is the only form of art that, in a way, America has created and given to the world in this century or in the past few centuries, let's say. But I think it's more of a revival in a different form of what went on in classical music before. In other words, in the 17th century, there was a great deal of improvisation in classical music, as you know. And because of the fact that there were no electrical recording techniques or any way to permanize or to catch music and to record it, the music was written so that it could be permanized that way. And so slowly but surely, the writing of the music and the interpreters of the written music gave way to more and more interpretation and more cerebral composition and less improvisation, until finally improvisation became a lost art in classical music. We have only the composer and the interpreter. So the composer even very seldom improvised or didn't have to, say around the late 1800s or the turn of the century. But jazz in a way has resurrected that process, which I call the jazz process. The jazz, as we tend to look at it, is a style. But I feel that jazz is not so much a style as a process of making music. It's the process of making music, making 1 minute's music in 1 minute's time. Whereas when you compose, you can make 1 minute's music and take 3 months to compose 1 minute's music. Now that's the only basic difference. Now it so happens that because of historical circumstances and where jazz was born or whatever came up the Mississippi and American music and the American culture and all, we think of jazz as a stylistic medium now.